Sayadaw explained how yogis should be noting the primary object, rising and falling of the abdomen, and other objects with aim and effort. That should be sadhukan savana. In order to know the correct method of practice, one should listen respectfully, attentively, and there should be sadhukan manasikara. One should note the object in a way that the noting mind will be face-to-face, direct, with the object that is arising at the present moment. And one should note the object with aim and effort so that there will be sustained mindfulness. In order to fulfill samadhi sasana, concentration training, one needs these two factors. One should listen attentively, respectfully on the guidance and instructions, and one should practice accordingly. One should practice precisely, accurately, according to the guidance given. And also the person needs the two mental strength, aiming and effort. If the person is lacking any one of these two, then the noting mind will not be concurrent. Yogis should not be practicing in an easygoing way. One should not be practicing ordinarily or flippantly, but one should practice diligently according to the guidance and instruction. But Sayadaw hears that some of the yogis are practicing in an easygoing way, flippantly, and they will not get the benefit of practice. When yogis come here for practice, they should practice diligently. They should be hard-working yogis so that they will gain benefit of practice. Understanding the benefit of practice, one will cherish and value the practice, and one will practice diligently. Seeing the yogis practicing diligently according to the guidance and instruction, the teachers who are helping the yogis in the Dhamma will feel happy, satisfied to see diligent yogis. And also the volunteers and also the supporters who are supporting in every way they can will be happy to see the yogi practicing diligently. So one should not be practicing in an easygoing way. One should not be flippant in the practice. Sayadaw gives the example of sutta. When a person is not skillful in writing, they need the pages of the paper to be lined. So they need lined paper in order to write, so that their writing will be straight and linear. Someone who is not skillful in writing writes on a blank sheet of paper, then it happens that the writing go up and then down again, up, down, and his or her writing will not be straight or linear if the person has to write on blank page, because the person is not skillful in writing. So this example is compared to suttanta. Suttanta, in the word suttanta, sutta is called a line. So, sutta is taught so that one's practice will be straight. So in this way, one should learn the sutta so that one's practice will not deviate, it will be straight. And when learning the correct method, one should listen attentively, respectfully. Only then it will be beneficial. And also, one should not neglect the guidance and instruction. They have to listen again and again, repeatedly, so that they will be clear about the guidance and instruction. And it is also important to practice accurately, precisely, according to the guidance and instruction given. If there is videkama kilesa, the transgressive defilements, committing wrongdoings towards other beings, as much there is transgression, as much one's physical behavior, verbal behavior will be dirty and polluted. So one has to make a vow that one will refrain from these wrongdoings. As much one can refrain from these transgressions, wrongdoings, these transgressions, transgressive defilements will have no chance to arise. Transgressive defilements are suppressed by refraining from wrongdoings. But the kind of defilements that can arise in the mind cannot be refrained. So in order to avoid the obsessive defilements that can arise in the mind, one needs Sati, mindfulness. Having Sati, mindfulness, the mind will not go elsewhere. When the mind is calm, collected, there will not be distraction. In order to develop mindfulness, in order to develop concentration, one needs to note the presently arising object with effort, and one should assert effort in noting the object as well as aiming, directing the noting mind onto the object. It is very important to apply these two mental strengths, aiming, directing, and effort. So as a yogi does not need to do anything else but note the presently arising object with aim and effort so that there will be sustained mindfulness and the mind will fall calm, collected on the object. Yogi needs to assert ardent effort. And also, in order to keep the mind direct or face to face with the object, yogi needs to aim and direct the noting mind onto the object. Noting the object with aim and effort, Sati, mindfulness, will be cultivated. Yogi needs to have effort every single second. Noting the object every single second with aim and effort, mindfulness develops and concentration develops. Having vitakka, aiming, directing the noting mind onto the object, the mind is fresh and active in noting the object. And the mind will be open, fresh, and blossom and active, having vitakka, having aiming, directing the mind onto the object. And also having viriya, effort, laziness has no chance to arise. Noting the object with aim and effort, the noting mind rubs against the object, strokes against the object, there will be certainty. One discerns the true nature of the object, and there will be Satipatthana. When the noting mind is glued onto the object, the noting mind sustains and established on the object of meditation. When there is Satipatthana, the firm established mindfulness on the object, then the mindfulness will be firm and steady. In noting the object, there should be effort, and also there should be the jhanic factors, vitakka, initial application, aiming, directing the noting mind onto the object, vichara, sustained application, the mind rubbing, stroking against the object. So these two jhanic factors will also be cultivated. So when yogi can note the object with aim and effort, mindfulness will be sustained. When mindfulness is sustained on the object, the defilements have no chance to enter the stream of consciousness. Having sati, mindfulness, raga, lust, cannot arise, dosa, anger, does not arise, other defilements such as conceit, envy, jealousy, have no chance to arise so long as there is mindfulness. Mindfulness has its own ability and efficiency. In the text it is said that Rakha Varana Kuti. Rakha means protection. Mindfulness guards and protects the mind so that the defilements cannot enter the mind. So there is Rakha, protection, mindfulness protecting, guarding the defilements from arising. And avarana means blocking. Having mindfulness, the hindrances are blocked so that these hindrances and defilements cannot enter the mind. Having rakha varana, having protection and blockage, the defilements cannot enter the mind, and thus there will be goti, there will be safety, security away from the defilements. So when there is protection, safety, security, then there will be santi, there will be peacefulness, vimoti, the mind is free from the agitation of the defilements. The defilements cannot hinder the mind. Having mindfulness, noting the object with aim and effort, sati, mindfulness, keep the mind guarded, protected, so that there will be safety, security. Then the mind is free from the agitation of the defilements. There will be peacefulness. There will also be moti and vimoti. The mind is free from defilements. In this way, the mind is not agitated by raga. The mind is calm, collected. The mind is not agitated by dosa. The mind being calm and collected. And there will be sandhi, peacefulness. The peacefulness one gains through the practice is called the danga sandhi. There is momentary peace. Moment by moment, the mind is peaceful, away from the agitation of defilements. Whenever the object arises, as soon as the object arises, such as rising and falling of the abdomen, when the object rising and falling of the abdomen arises, one should note it right away with aim and effort, and there will be sustained mindfulness. When mindfulness is sustained, the mind will not run elsewhere. The mind will be calm, collected, unified, and thus Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, also arises. So if there is 10 moments of mindfulness arising continuously, concentration arising continuously, for these 10 moments, the defilements have no chance to arise. When the mindfulness and concentration are continuous with no gaps in between, there will not be distraction, there will not be wrongful thoughts, there will not be sensual thoughts, wanting to see good things, wanting to hear good sounds. Such kind of sensual thoughts will have no chance to arise when there is continuous arising of mindfulness and concentration, and thus the mind is pure and clean. It is called bhavana. Bhavana means initiating wholesome mind, so that wholesome mind will be developed, cultivated, and increased. It is called bhavana. Also, there will be bodhi. The wholesome mind will grow and it will become increased. And one should keep on noting moment by moment, repeatedly, again and again, so that the mind will be developed and cultivated, so that the mind will become from small to big, from tender to ripe, from less to many. In Pali, it is called bhavana. In this way, one should cultivate the mental strength, so that the mental strength will be increased and it will be growing. One needs viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration, cultivating viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration. Samadhi khanda, concentration group, is fulfilled. If there is lack of samadhi, if there is lack of concentration, then there will be wrongful thoughts, wanting to kill others, wanting to torment others, wanting to lie, wanting to deceive. Such kind of unwholesome thoughts and defilements can arise if there is lack of samadhi. Having samadhi khanda, having the samadhi group, samadhi training, such kind of wrongful thoughts will not have any chance to arise. But if these wrongful thoughts arise, one should note it right away to remove them. So it is said that prevention is better than cure. One should prevent wrongful thoughts and defilements from arising. If the mindfulness is continuous, such kind of defilements will not have any chance to arise. But if there is lack of mindfulness, kilesa defilements enter the mind. When the defilements enter the mind, one should note it right away so as to cure. Prevention is better than cure. Fire should be prevented. But if fire breaks out, one should extinguish the fire right away. So in one's house or in every building, there is the fire extinguisher, so that when fire breaks out, one will be able to extinguish right away with the fire extinguisher provided in the building. But if one cannot extinguish the fire with the fire extinguisher, then the person needs to escape from the fire and contact the fire department. As a yogi, yogi should prevent the defilements from arising. And when the defilement arises, one should note it right away in order to remove it. So as a yogi, one should continuously note the object with aim and effort so that Sati mindfulness is developed, concentration is developed, and one is fulfilling the sasana, the teaching of the Buddha. When there is samadhi khanda, concentration group, obsessive defilements will have no chance to arise. And thus, the mind will be pure, clean, gentle, cultured. So the obsessive defilements do not arise when there is samadhi khanda, the concentration group, concentration training. And thus, one gains virtue, the person becomes virtuous, and the person's quality will grow. As much the samadhi, as much the concentration is strong, also the quality of the mind, the efficiency of the mind will also grow. In each and every moment, the mind falls calm and collected on the object. The person cultivates samadhi khanda, concentration group, and the person possesses the samadhi training, concentration training. But if the yogi is not mindful, if the person is not mindful, the person is failing to cultivate the samadhi khanda, concentration group. If the person is not mindful, then the person is losing samadhi bhavana, the person is losing the concentration training. So it is very important to keep the mindfulness continuous so that concentration will also be continuous, and also the person will be cultivating samadhi training. So as a yogi, there is nothing else to do but to note the presently arising object efficiently, effectively, and there is nothing else yogi should do. Yogi should not be thinking or daydreaming. They should not do anything else but to be mindful, to be noting the presently arising object efficiently and effectively. When noting rising and falling of the abdomen as well as other objects that arise, the mental strength, viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration, each of them has its own unique quality, and combining these three, also there will be a good quality and energy. Viriya, effort, overwhelms laziness as well as other defilements. Having viriya, effort dispels laziness and other kind of defilements, not giving the defilements a chance to arise. Having viriya, effort, the defilements are repelled, opening the path of wholesomeness. Sati, mindfulness, guards and protects the mind so that the defilements cannot enter the mind. Samadhi, concentration, keeps the mind calm, collected, unified on the object. In this way, viriya, sati and samadhi effort, mindfulness, and concentration, each of them has its own quality, and when these three are combined, they become a strong energy. When these three are present, the defilements such as laziness has no chance to arise. The mind is calm, collected, unified on the object, and in each moment these three are present, the person benefits moment by moment. Having effort, there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind is calm, collected, unified on the object, and they are beneficial. They are not wrongful. In Pali, it is called Samma. Samma means right. It is not miccha. It is not wrongful. So the viriya effort is the right effort. It is called Samma Vayama. And Sati mindfulness is not the wrongful mindfulness. It is the right mindfulness. It is called Samma Sati. And the concentration is the not wrongful concentration, but it is the right concentration, and it's called Samma Samadhi. In this way, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, and Samma Samadhi are the three factors of the Eight Noble Paths, three factors of the concentration group. Having fulfilled Sila, morality, the Sila group, the three factors of the Sila group is present. Having Viriya, Sati, and Samadhi, the three factors of the path are present. In this way, it is the path leading to Nibbana. Each and every factor of the Samadhi group has their own unique characteristic, function, manifestation. Viriya has the characteristic Ussahana Lekhana. Viriya has the characteristic of having eagerness, alertness, activeness. Having viriya effort, the mind will not be cold, it will not be gazing, it will not be slow, but it will be active and alert. It is the characteristic of viriya. And also, when there is difficulty, the person faces the difficulty with the clenched teeth, one not giving up due to the difficulty. Having viriya effort, the person will not withdraw, the person will not be inferior. The example is given when a house is very weak, that it is about to collapse, then the house should be propped up, or the house should be supported by pillar. In the same way, when the mind becomes slack, in order to prop up the mind, in order to support the mind, one should reflect the benefit of viriya in a way of propping up or supporting the mind with the pillar. And the mind will become strong again, not giving up, not becoming slack. So it is the function of viriya that the mind is supported, propped up to become strong. And the manifestation of viriya is that one does not withdraw or give up. One will be able to challenge Any kind of difficulty, let it come, I will face it, I will overcome it. Having viriya, one can challenge, having courage to face whatever the difficulty that might come. So in this way, having viriya, the person has courage to face the difficulty and to overcome the difficulties. Having overcome the difficulties, the person develops even more courage. Each and every factor of the Samadhi group has its own unique quality and efficiency. Even viriya alone itself is very satisfying. When viriya effort is strengthened, it is a support to develop sati, mindfulness. Sati has the characteristic apilapana lekhana. Pilapana is wobbling, floating on the surface. When a piece of cork is thrown into the water, it will be floating on the surface. Whereas, if one throws a piece of pebble or a rock in the water, it sinks in the water. Sati has the characteristic apilapana lekhana. Sati has the characteristic of not floating, not wobbling on the surface. Having sati, mindfulness, as soon as the object arises, the mind sinks into the object. When the yogi knows the object with a strengthened effort, the noting mind sinks into the object and the mindfulness will be firm and sustained. When the mindfulness is firm and sustained, one will not lose sight of the object. The object is always in view. One does not lose sight of the object. Asamosa rasa, sati, mindfulness, has the function of not losing sight of the object. The object is always in view, meaning the person has continuous mindfulness, sustained mindfulness on the object. And the manifestation is Aramana Bimukhi Bhava Pachupatthana. Sati has the manifestation of confronting, coming face to face or direct with the object. As soon as the object arises, the noting mind is concurrent. The noting mind is direct or face to face with the object. It is the manifestation. Arakha Pachupatthana, another manifestation of sati, is that sati guards and protects the mind so that the defilements that can arise by lack of mindfulness will have no chance to arise. It is the manifestation that sati guards and protects the mind. A yogi who practices diligently will understand through his or her practice the characteristic, function and manifestation of sati, mindfulness, and the person, the yogi, will cherish and value the mindfulness that the person will not let to lose or to fail to note the object. So the person will not let the mind to be unmindful. The person will not let the mind to have the lack of mindfulness. So in this way, yogi practices not to miss, not to fail to note anything. When noting the object with effort, mindfulness is sustained. The mind will not be unruly. It will not be distracted. The mind does not scatter. Awakable samadhi. Samadhi has the characteristic of not being distracted, not scattering from the object. The mind is not distancing or gapping away from the object. The mind falls calm, collected on the object. So in this way, samadhi has the characteristic of not distracting or not scattering from the object. The mind does not run elsewhere. Sati mindfulness develops and samadhi automatically follows. Having samadhi, the mind is unified. When noting the object rising and falling of the abdomen, the mental factors, viriya, effort, sati, mindfulness, as well as the other mental factors are collected, unified on the object. If the mental factors are not collected, unified, there will not be strength in the mind. But when the mental factors are collected and unified, the mind becomes strengthened. Samadhi has the function of unifying the mental factors. Having samadhi, the mind is calm, away from the agitation of defilements. The agitation of lust cannot arise. There will not be greed. The mind does not get agitated by anger or hatred. In this way, there will be no agitation of the defilements. The mind is calm. So the samadhi has the manifestation of being calm. Yogi who practices diligently will understand the characteristic, function, and manifestation of samadhi from his or her experience, that yogi comes to cherish and value the viriya, sati, and samadhi. Knowing that viriya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration are precious, yogi even tries harder so that the value of viriya, sati, samadhi will not go down. So the yogi practices even more diligently, that the samadhi becomes stronger and stronger. Priyuttana kilesa, obsessive defilements, are distancing. Having viriya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, the defilements are momentarily suppressed, that the defilements become more and more distant. Even at the time that the person is lacking mindfulness, the defilements do not arise due to the momentum of viriya, sati, and samadhi. So this will be understood by the yogi who practices respectfully, diligently. And Sayadaw will continue to explain how yogi comes to understand outstandingly and how yogi should report in the interview. And this will be all for today.